So, the next generation NCLEX, or NGN, is on your mind. Well, you've definitely come to the right place. We are going to demystify this new exam, breaking down exactly what's different, and more importantly, what it all means for you. Let's get right to it.
Look, we get it. Hearing that the single biggest exam of your career has changed? Yeah, that can be pretty stressful. You spent years learning and practicing, and now it probably feels like the rules of the game have just shifted. So what does this change actually mean for you? Let's break it down piece by piece.
First things first, let's talk about the why. To really conquer this new exam, you've got to understand the problem it was actually designed to solve in the first place.
So the big switch happened back in April 2023, and this wasn't just some minor tweak, it was a really fundamental shift. The whole goal was to better measure something that nurses use every single day on the job, something the old exam kind of struggled to test, and that thing is clinical judgment.
So what in the world is clinical judgment? Well, the official definition calls it the observed outcome of critical thinking and decision-making. But let's put that in simple terms. It's all about how you think, how you connect the dots, and how you decide what to do for a patient in a real-world scenario. Honestly, it's the skill that separates a good nurse from a truly great one.
Okay, so since the exam is now built to test how you think, your best bet for preparing is to understand the playbook it's based on. So let's pull back the curtain and look at the model that shapes every single one of these new questions.
And here it is, the National Council of State Boards of Nursing's Clinical Judgment Measurement Model, or NCJMM. This, right here, is the key. You should think of it as the roadmap for your clinical decision-making. It breaks down that super complex process of thinking like a nurse into a really clear 6-step framework.
And these are those 6 steps. Let's just walk through them. It all starts with recognizing cues. That's basically just spotting the important data. Then you analyze those cues, connecting that data to your patient's situation. Next, you prioritize hypotheses, deciding which problem is the most urgent. From there, you generate solutions, take action, and finally, you evaluate the outcomes to see if your plan actually worked. This 6-step loop, this is the exact thought process the NGN is designed to test.
Okay, so now that we get the why and the how behind the exam's thinking, let's get into the nitty-gritty, the new question types, and, I think most importantly, how they're scored.
And this might be the best news you hear all day. Seriously, the old NCLEX was all or nothing. You got the entire question right, or you got 0 points, period. But with the NGN, that's changed. Now, you can earn partial credit. This is a huge deal. It means that even if you don't know the full answer, you can still rack up points for what you do know.
So this partial credit thing works in a few different ways. For plus-minus scoring, you get a point for right answers, but you lose a point for wrong ones. Then there's 0-1 scoring, where you just get points for what's correct, no penalty for being wrong, and with rationale scoring, you've got to link 2 ideas together correctly to get the point.
And you're going to see these new scoring models used across a whole bunch of new question formats. You'll for sure see unfolding case studies, which give you a client scenario that actually evolves over a few questions. You might also see things like bow tie items or drag-and-drop questions. The real key here is just to get familiar with these so nothing catches you by surprise on test day.
All right, so we know how the questions work, but what stuff are they actually going to cover? Let's take a peek at the exam's blueprint to see where you should really be focusing your study time.
So the exam content is broken down into 4 main client needs categories, but, and this is a big but, they are not weighted equally. I mean, just look at the chart. See that massive slice? Physiological integrity. It can make up over half the entire exam. That's a huge piece of the pie, and it's basically shouting where the bulk of the questions are going to come from.
So here's the #1 takeaway for your study plan. The overwhelming majority of questions, they're going to fall under just 2 main umbrellas: safe and effective care environment and physiological integrity. That's your target. You want to focus your energy right there.
And finally, let's just talk about the logistics of the exam itself. Knowing what to expect when you actually walk into that testing center can make a world of difference for your confidence.
You've got 5 hours. 5 hours total for the whole appointment. Now that includes the tutorial at the beginning, any breaks you decide to take, and they are optional, and the exam itself. It's a marathon, not a sprint, so you really want to pace yourself.
So the exam is what they call a computer adaptive test, or CAT. That just means the number of questions can change. You'll answer at least 85 questions and at most 150. The computer basically just stops when it's statistically certain that you've either passed or failed.
Now here's a number you can absolutely count on.
Every single person taking this test is going to get 3 unfolding case studies. Each one has 6 questions. And, get this, they will all show up within the first 85 items. That alone tells you just how critical they are.
So if you only take one thing away from all of this, let it be this. The NG Reps represents a huge shift in philosophy. It's moving away from just asking, what do you know from a textbook? It's now asking you to apply and analyze that knowledge, just like you're going to be doing every single day as a nurse.
You know, the next generation NCLEX isn't something you should fear. It's an opportunity. It's your chance to prove not just what you've memorized, but how you think. It's your moment to really demonstrate your clinical judgment. So the real question is, are you ready to show them what you've got?